Okay, guys, it is, I think, Wednesday. Yes, the 18th. And I do believe I have fixed the microphone problem and all on my own. I am going to change real quick to a tab just to see, and can everybody still hear me? I know there's only a few of you out there, but if you can you let me know if you can hear me with the Chrome tab up? Are you able to hear me with the Chrome tab up? Awesome, thanks guys. I'm pretty proud of myself that I figured that out. So, a couple things before we get started, because we are going to be normal today. I do want to, because I didn't want to have to switch back and forth to a lot of screens. I'm looking at a couple things today just to clarify if anybody, real elementary here. I know I'd like to use Alex, but if I'm still having issues with getting everybody logged back in, I won't. We can just do the no reassignments, and I did play around with that yesterday afternoon, and somebody, and I forget who said it yesterday, somebody had asked if it was just going to the lesson or if there were actually assignments or which tab to click on, and you are going to click on the assignments tab. I was able to assign a few of them, I think just one right now, but I was messing around with both geometry and algebra 2. So there is an assignments tab where you should see the ones that I've listed. If you have, great. Again, they are not due until spring break. So you can figure out yourself how you want to budget your time. I suggest practicing them as we go. That way at least you're up to date with what we're doing. I am going to load notes, and again, just because you've already seen some of the notes that I've loaded, copy what you need. Again, there were multiple classes. There's different examples for some classes. There might be repeated ones, but instead of me trying to go through on Sunday and Monday real quick to figure out what to include and what not to, I just loaded all of them. Throughout this whole time, for right now, for Chapter 8, there are only going to be 2 actual assignments. I am going to load them as PDFs, and you will do them on your own paper. That way you can show all of your work and make sure that you circle your answers and all that good stuff. So please make sure that as we do this, you can kind of chart your own work, show all of your work, all that good stuff. You can always work ahead if you wish. I'm going to attempt to load a few sections at a time, and it is up to you what you want to do. I know some of you will work faster than others. Some of you will want to work faster at math than maybe something else, and that is entirely your choice. We all prioritize, so I suppose this is now your opportunity to do the same without any repercussions. See how that works out for you. You can, and I know that sounds kind of funny, but again, for some of us, math and science is kind of our niche. And if you want something more and you want me to provide you with more work or more practice, or even some application problems, by all means ask. I'm not going to give that because I do not want it to feel overwhelming or feel the pressure of having to do it. But if you want more work, please request more. And no matter what, there will always be daily updates in Google Classroom. So if you miss anything, you're not sure of anything, it'll all be typewritten so that you know every day where you should be and what you should be doing, just to kind of keep yourselves focused and organized. I know when I'm told what to do and when everything is due, keeps me a little bit more focused on prioritizing. So everything will always be updated in Google Classroom. You don't have to worry about that. So before we get started with today's lesson, I know at least I checked my email about 10 minutes ago. That's what took me so long to get up and running. I wanted to make sure there weren't any last minute questions that any of you had. Were there any on the 8-1 practice that I did assign? I want to make sure if there was anything on that practice that I can address it at this point. Trying to see if it'll... Nope, won't take me to the paper yet. So, were there any questions on that 8-1 practice? Yes, Laura, can I go over number 23? Absolutely. Give me a second and I will copy down number 23. Layla, lay down. All right, number 23. All right, so we have a rectangle pyramid, has a base of, so pyramids go back to geometry, and we have an area was our capital B for our pyramid, and our capital B is x squared plus 3x minus 10 over 2x. And then it says that it has a height of x squared minus 3x over x squared minus 5x plus 6. Write a rational expression to describe the volume of the rectangular pyramid. So, first things first is we've got to remember what our formula was for pyramid. So what I'm doing is just to make sure, I believe it is base times height divided by 3. And I am going to go to my cheat sheet just to make sure. And volume of a pyramid is base times height divided by 3. Yay, I feel good. Had it memorized. So our volume is capital B H divided by 3. So what we're looking at is just the fact that we're going to multiply our capital B with the H, and we're going to divide by 3. But it wants the expression. So volume is going to be this capital B, and I will write it all out because you asked. That's this times height, x squared minus 3x over x squared minus 5x plus 6. And then we're going to divide all of that by 3. And I'm going to suggest at the end that we're going to take this divided by 3 and we're going to write it as 1/3. It will probably make this a lot easier, at least for the expression that we're going to want. So the first thing that we're going to do, is we're going to factor the numerator, and that way we can cross cancel or cancel top to bottom depending upon what's asked of us. So x squared plus 3x minus 10 is going to be x plus 5, x minus 2, so that we get the negative 10 but the positive 3 in the middle, over 2x. We're going to multiply this by x times x minus 3 for our numerator, factored out in x. In the denominator, this is going to be x minus 2, x minus 3, so that we get a positive 6, the negative times the negative, but our negative 2 and negative 3 are going to give us that negative 5 in the middle. So to cancel out the like terms, again, I'm not going to worry about right now that over 3. We're just going to cancel out our numerator. The x minus 2's are all going to cancel because they are still top to bottom. Our x minus 3's are going to cancel because they are top to bottom. We have 1x in the denominator and 1x in the numerator. They're going to cancel top to bottom. What's left then is this x plus 5 over 2. Now, we did say that we had the over 3. But if we wrote it as the 1/3, because again, a fraction divided by a fraction is our keep change flip. So we're going to keep our top, x plus 5 divided by 2, change to multiplication so that that division bar goes away. And now we have that 1/3. So that's why I said keeping in mind that that divided by 3 is really 1/3 gives us a volume expression, because again, it doesn't say that we're going to actually find the volume. It just wants our equation for it of x plus 5 over 6. So that's going to, again, address the fact that the question says write a rational expression to describe the volume of that pyramid. So this ended up being a multiplication problem. I think the trick was we had to kind of go back and look to see what our volume formula was. Like I said, I thought I knew it. I double checked. Those are formulas that, again, we have somewhere. I always suggest, I still have my high school note card, so something maybe keep in mind, keep that someplace in your notebooks. Good. Any other questions from the 8-1 worksheet? And you're welcome, Laura. I like the question because, again, it does reference geometry. Any other questions from our 8-1 worksheet? Okay, if you have questions, thank you, Hallie. I know the delay is crazy. All right. So I'm going to write it down real quick. I'm going to spread things out a bit. So in number 21, we have x cubed plus, this happens to be, I think, one I was going to work on today anyway, so that's a good thing. Plus 2 cubed over x squared minus 2x divided by x plus 2 cubed over x squared plus 4x plus 4. All right, this actually, I think because I tried to get things set up a little better today just so that we weren't waiting so long. This is kind of in the category of what you're going to see in a little bit that are called complex fractions. And that means that you've got stuff going on top, you've got stuff going on the bottom, you've got other operations involved, so you're going to see them as complex fractions. This up here is the sum of cubes. So I'm going to try to see if I can do this a little bit neater for you guys. If I'm just looking at the numerator, my sum of cubes formula says you take the first one, keep the sign. So if I was taking the cubed root of each of these, I get them to the first power. Then the rest of it tells me that I'm supposed to do square the first, change the sign, multiply them together, and square the second. Okay, so again, I'm just using our sum of cubes formula that we talked about in our factoring chapter. Then in the denominator, we're just going to factor out, I'm going to frustrate some of you guys with my colors. I'm going to factor out an x and I am left with just x minus 2. Now, because we're going to eventually need to keep, change, flip, our division bar, remember, has us keep, change, flip, because we can't do the work without it. I'm going to now use my multiplication sign, and I am going to put this guy on the bottom now, because that's where he belongs, on the bottom. If we keep the top, change the sign, and flip the bottom, this is now x plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 2, and I squeeze that in. So the numerator became the denominator because we're flipping. And then the last one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to factor our x squared plus 4x plus 4. And that's going to be an x plus 2, x plus 2. That's a perfect square. So again, that division bar is a fraction divided by a fraction, so we keep, change, flip. And I think it kind of saves a little bit of time by doing it that way. I don't know. So top to bottom, if we're going to cancel, I've got an x plus 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. I have another x plus 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. And I have an x plus 2 on top over here and another one on the bottom. So everything top to bottom is going to change. I don't have anything else that's going to cancel, and this guy right here isn't going to factor any further. So when we do write our final answer, we end up with, oops, that's going to make me mad, x squared minus 2x plus 4 on the top, all over x times x minus 2 on the bottom. Any other questions from the 8-1? And again, if there's anything that I'm doing, because again, I can't, without your responses, as long as I'm answering them, I'm going to keep seeing if there's anything else that you saw on 8-1 that you would like me to go over. Thanks. Okay, I'll let that sit there for a minute so you guys can make sure you have it. Most all of these are factor, and keep in mind the rules that we've used since elementary school. And that's something that we're going to talk about today. No other questions? Okay. And I don't need to do that one. So I do just want to, because again, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I'm going to give you a second to review, take a look at these two. Oops, come on. Hopefully I'm still with you, because something's spinning on my screen. Can everybody still hear me? I hope so. Something's going on. Oh well, I don't know what's going on. This isn't cool. Oh, it is buffering a lot and I can't hear anything. Yep. Trying, guys. Hush, please.